there was various signs indicating that I wasn't human, that sort of thing. For instance, a sign put on a dormitory saying humans only, that sort of thing. Obviously there was physical abuse. I've been picked up, thrown against a wall, that sort of thing. I've been dropped. I ended up in medical centres, hospitals, having x-rays and scans, that sort of thing, because of who I was. But yeah, it wasn't great, but I think it's helped me build the person who I am now, and now I think, in terms of at least a mindset, I'm pretty unbreakable. So I think my earliest memory going out in public was in Guildford, where I spent a lot of time growing up, and I had a very happy childhood. I didn't have many problems until I was about 14 with my dwarfism. Obviously, there were going to be kids that laugh and stare, and adults. There were a few of them that they would laugh and stare and that sort of thing, and point and that sort of thing. But I don't think I really cared that much. I was more interested in where we were going, who I was with, who we were going to see, that sort of thing. And let's not forget, that age I was also a curious, interested kid. There were going to be other people with other conditions that I can almost certainly recall laughing, staring at. Just because I'm like this doesn't mean that I'm good as gold. I won't laugh and stare. Of course I will. Your kids are curious. They want to learn things. They want to know why people are different. So yeah, I was very well aware, but I don't think I really care that much. Obviously, there's times where I was a bit uncomfortable with it. But I think as I've grown older, I've become more self-conscious about that, as many people do, more self-conscious about the way we look, the way I behave around people. But no, as a kid, it didn't really affect me. I was aware of it. But then I was equally as curious as in other people. So I think around this very early teens, it started to change when obviously I was becoming a little bit more independent. I wasn't around people I felt safe with. So obviously, when you grow up, you've got that safety net of your parents or your older brothers or sisters. I'm the oldest, but I'm also the smallest. So I've always had my younger brother and sister around me, which has always helped. And I think now they're at the point where they understand, and I'm very comfortable being around them in public. But yes, I'd say around the early teens, which was also coincidentally when I was also started being bullied for my condition at a new school. I think it created a strong resilience inside me that I now use as an athlete. The not giving up, the things will get better, things will improve, that sort of thing. And every single person, and people watching this who have been bullied, they know what it's like, and every single person I think has a different experience. They have a different way of coping. But when no one's presented with challenges when they're younger, it doesn't set them up for when there are going to be challenges when they're older. And as an athlete, you face many challenges. You face injuries, you face defeats, you face being away from home for long times, you face getting up early in the morning when everyone else is asleep. And I believe that's really set me up for being the athlete today, the athlete who I am today. And I just think I would be less successful than I have been without that period in time. But socially, and I think people around me are getting a better understanding of who I am. But I'm afraid to say I don't think quite the same goes into the public side of things. That was a very emotional day, and it started off in the stupidest way possible. I just lost my car keys. We'd obviously just finished New Year. I was planning to go back to training, and it wasn't just when you just lose them for half an hour. I'd lost them for the entire day. And my house keys, it had everything on them. And I spent the entire day searching for these keys. I couldn't find them anywhere, and I found them in the silliest place. So I went back, and obviously I was already in a huff. And I needed to restock my flat, because I know I've been away for a few days, and I went to Tesco's just down the road, and went in. And as I went in, there were these three girls on a bench just outside under the porch who you could see the white in their eyes. You could see they were looking at me. As I walked past, I just all suddenly burst out laughing. So I went outside, and just before I came out, you could see there was one girl looking behind the door, looking for when people were coming out. And as soon as I walked out the door, her head shot back, hoping I hadn't seen her. Obviously I had. I came round, I confronted them. They were very, very defensive. They said they were laughing at a TikTok, which was strange because I couldn't see any phones. And they were just saying I'd had a bad day and I was overreacting and that sort of thing. And eventually I walked away, and you could hear them. They were just still smirking and laughing under their breaths. I drove home. I got out and I just burst into tears, and I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And I thought, you know what? I don't have a massive following, but maybe I could just post something honest. I've seen people do it before. This is what they do when they're cross. Maybe some people can actually learn what it's like to be me. And maybe I can help other people if they're going through the same sort of thing. And I made this honest post, and very, very quickly it started getting traction. More and more people were messaging me, telling me about their own problems. It was unbelievable. I still haven't got through all the messages, but yes. And then within weeks, I was on news, breakfast news. I was meeting politicians. It was an unbelievable month or two. As I say, when you take off the kit, and the most distinctive time I remember this is from the homecoming event in Wembley. I got on the train, on the tube home. And, you took off the Paralympic kit, you just had a concert about you, had this celebration about you, and then you go straight to being this normal person, and you have a bunch of 10-year-olds laughing at you. And the one thing they just don't realise is you've just represented them abroad on the biggest stage in the world for sport. And I think the biggest feeling is just sadness. They don't realise firstly what it might be like to be someone like myself or other people with disabilities. But secondly, just the complete unawareness of who we are and what we stand for. To people who laugh at me, whether that be adults, kids, I say so. Dwarfism, especially my form of dwarfism, it's randomly occurring. It can happen to anyone. What I would say is, my parents don't have this. My brother doesn't have this. There's been no history of people in my family that's ever had dwarfism. What if you suddenly have a brother or sister now that's born with it? And how would you react to that? Would you laugh at her? What if in 20 years' time or 10 years' time or whatever it might be, you might have a kid and then he or she has dwarfism? Just remember, it can happen to anyone at any time. It's randomly occurring. It happens, and most people get caught off guard. But just think about what it might be like if you're in our shoes. It's funny how attitudes can change when situations change. I believe that the pure thing, what I would really, really like, and again, I can't speak for everyone with dwarfism. I'm just one person. But again, through conversations I've had with different people, you tend to get an idea of where everyone would like to be headed, is just to blend into society, not to stick out, to attract these comments, this laughter and stuff like that. It's just to blend in, not be noticed, not attract any unwanted attention. Obviously, that's going to take time, and everyone sticks out. People's brains are trained to pick out differences. If you take 100 soldiers in one line and one's wearing a green jacket compared to a red jacket, everyone's going to look at that one soldier wearing a green jacket. Don't mind the other 99, all perfectly dressed, all looking exactly the same. You can look at that one fella who's sticking out. The human brain is trained to do that. It's natural, and I'm going to look at other people who are different. I try to hide it, but I do. Everyone does. Even if they say they don't, they do. So I know that something can never be a reality, but what I guess I'm looking for is everyone to have a bit more of an education, a bit more of an understanding on what dwarfism is, what some people actually have to go through with it. I'm fairly lucky. I've had no medical issues because of it. Some people have severe medical issues related to dwarfism, and their families had to go through a lot just to keep he or she healthy throughout their childhood and adulthood. But I think just a simple education is all that's required.